Every 4 years, one team arrives as defending champion, carrying the weight of proving the last title wasn't a fluke. This cycle, that team is Argentina, defending the title it won in dramatic fashion 4 years earlier. Their captain arrives chasing more history too, already the tournament's most capped player and its active leading scorer. On paper, the group stage goes smoothly enough, matching the expectations attached to a defending champion. The knockout rounds are supposed to be where a true champion's quality shows itself most clearly. Instead, the story of Argentina's last 2 matches looks a lot less like dominance and more like survival. Twice now, in back-to-back knockout matches, this team has stared down real elimination danger. Both times, it found a way through in the final minutes of the match, not the opening ones.
That pattern is worth examining closely, because it says something different than the record sheet alone suggests.
Keep the champion's label in mind, what follows barely resembles a team cruising toward another title. Round of 32. Argentina face a well-organized underdog chasing the biggest upset in its history. The final score reads 3-2, a win that looks comfortable enough written down on paper. The closing stages tell a different story, players visibly running on empty, hanging on for the final whistle. The coach makes it public afterward. This team needed real, wholesale changes before the very next match. 4 regular starters are rotated out entirely for the round of 16 that follows just days later. The next opponent, a resilient side that had already knocked out one heavyweight just to get here. The first half goes worse than anyone expected. A well-placed header gives the opponent an early lead. Before halftime, Argentina's captain steps up to a penalty, aiming to level the score immediately. The opposing goalkeeper reads it perfectly, saving it outright and killing the momentum in one motion. That same goalkeeper denies 2 more clear chances before the break. Argentina go in still trailing. Early in the second half, the deficit doubles. Argentina now trail by 2 goals with time running out. Cameras catch it plainly, heads bowed on the bench, body language of a team expecting to lose. With 11 minutes left on the clock, nothing on the pitch suggests a comeback is coming. This is the exact moment the record books and the reality on the ground start to genuinely diverge. Then, in the 79th minute, a header off a corner finally beats the goalkeeper. 2-1. Suddenly there's belief again. A dazzling individual run creates another clear chance moments later, just wide. 7 minutes from time, the captain gets his moment, a sweetly struck half volley off a cutback pass. It cannons in off the underside of the crossbar, 2-2, and it's his 21st World Cup goal. That single number breaks the tournament's all-time scoring record, extending a mark no one else currently holds. It also means he's now scored in 6 straight knockout matches, a streak stretching back years. Across his entire World Cup career, it's 9 consecutive matches finding the net in some form. The record alone doesn't win the match. The scoreline sits level now, not yet in Argentina's favor. Deep into stoppage time, a cross from the right finds a midfielder arriving at the back post. A header, gently placed rather than powered, drops just inside the far corner. 3-2, Argentina. The final whistle arrives seconds later. The relief on display afterward is impossible to overstate or fake. 2 knockout matches, 2 moments genuinely on the brink, 2 escapes engineered in the very final minutes. Add them together, and a clearer pattern starts to emerge from underneath all those individual headlines. This is a team that keeps finding itself behind, then relying on late dramatic quality to survive. The record sheet says champion. The underlying minute-by-minute match states tell a considerably shakier story.
Both stories are true at the same time. That's exactly what makes this particular pattern worth unpacking.
Some analysts wave this off entirely. Knockout football is simply unpredictable, and drama is part of the format. Every deep tournament run includes at least one match that genuinely could have gone the other way.
That's a fair point, worth taking seriously rather than dismissing as pure hindsight worry after the fact.
But 2 near disasters in a row against opponents outside the tournament's traditional favorites is harder to wave away. Both matches shared a specific pattern: a slow start, an early opposition goal, a defense caught unprepared. Both matches were also rescued by largely the same handful of players arriving from the substitutes bench. That's less a sign of broad squad depth and more a sign of exactly where the real depth actually sits. The head coach kept his own comments brief afterward, offering little beyond simple relief at the final result. Brief comments, in moments like that one, often say just as much as a long explanation would have. The next opponent, whoever it turns out to be, will already know exactly where the weak spots tend to show. Up next, a quarterfinal against a side built on an almost opposite defensive philosophy entirely. That team has conceded almost nothing this entire tournament,
grinding out results without needing late drama at all.
Two contrasting formulas are set to meet directly. One team's discipline against another team's individual brilliance under pressure.
This video won't try to predict which formula wins that specific contest. That result simply isn't in yet. What's already measurable, regardless of what happens next, is how thin Argentina's margin has been so far. Twice down 2 goals or facing a missed penalty, twice pulled back from the brink in the final minutes.
A genuinely dominant defending champion doesn't usually need 2 separate last-minute rescues within the space of 1 single week.
Genuine greatness, though, doesn't always look like effortless dominance either. Sometimes it looks exactly like this instead. It looks like refusing to lose even when every signal on the pitch points toward exactly that outcome. The individual numbers, taken alone, are genuinely historic. Most World Cup appearances, most goals, longest scoring streaks. Strip away those individual numbers, though, and the team-level picture looks considerably more fragile than the record implies. Both pictures are accurate descriptions of the exact same 2 matches, just measured along completely different axes. Which picture matters more probably depends on what happens the very next time this team falls behind. If the next rescue comes again, the pattern becomes a genuine identity, a team that always finds a way. If it doesn't come next time, that same pattern instead reads as a warning nobody acted on in time. Right now, both outcomes remain entirely possible, and neither one is written yet anywhere in this script. What is written already is the actual shape of how this defending champion reached the current stage. Not through comfortable cruising victories, but through 2 matches that came within minutes of ending very differently. The trophy lifted 4 years ago guarantees nothing about the 6 weeks required to defend it properly now. Every single round has to be earned again, against opponents with nothing at all left to lose themselves. 2 of this team's opponents so far have pushed it right to the very edge of that exact margin. Whether the next one manages the same thing is a question for the pitch, not for hindsight. For now, the record book shows a smooth run. Winner, quarterfinalist, exactly as a champion should look. The match-by-match detail underneath that record tells a far tighter, far more nervous story than the summary suggests. Both versions belong in the same conversation about what this particular team actually is at this stage. A champion isn't only the team that never gets tested, sometimes it's the team that keeps passing the test late.
How many more times that specific formula can work is genuinely an open question, not a settled one.
Whatever comes next, this much is already true. Nothing about this title defense has been comfortable so far.